at how to draw a thick anime character. So, the idea behind this one is, unlike our mature character that's kind of thick all over, we're going to sort of exaggerate the thickness of this character in the sort of feminine areas, right? So it's kind of the classic tropey anime character. So, kind of unrealistic and exaggerated, but that is okay. So, I will be starting off with just the construction lines here. I'm just going to draw a small circle. So you can just follow along here. The circle doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be a placeholder. I'm going to drop in a ruler for my center line. And just keep in mind you can use whatever drawing program that you have available, or you can just do this on pencil and paper. It's completely up to you. But for me, I'm just using Clip Studio Paint at the moment. So, this character, I want to keep her face kind of thin. So I'm going to just round it slightly, but I'm really trying to just keep her jaw shallow but thin. Pull it out just a little bit. And I'm just trying to sketch around till I find a shape that I like. Something like that. And we'll drop in the ears, like so. And about jaw length under the head, I'm going to drop in my shoulder lines. And again, just like with most of our tutorials, I don't want the rib cage to actually be much larger than the head itself. At least not wider. This one's going to be a little bit longer, but I don't want it to be wider. Just trying to keep this relatively even. Put some lines here for the bottom of the rib cage. I'm going to put our shoulder circles just inside the rib cage under the shoulder line. I'm going to attach those here. Draw my lines is where our chest will fall underneath there. Then I will come in probably like 3/4 of a head height down. Put in my hip line. I'm going to make her hips the same width as her shoulders. We're going to throw those in like this. Put a little mark down here and attach these. Follow this line up and over. And then I am going to actually lower this slightly. Just because I want her to have a sort of a tighter stomach area, so I want to make sure that this part isn't too terribly close, that way we can kind of exaggerate that. Then I'm just going to mark out my unmovable areas in the hip section like this. And then I'm going to shrink my head a little bit. Just trying to get the balance and proportions of my character to be the way that I want it. It also seems to be kind of lopsided, so we'll fix that. Alright. Next, we will put in our legs. So I just do little sockets like this. Straight lines, kind of coming in at each other. Because we're just doing the classic sort of cutesy anime girl pose. Put in some lines for our feet. At the halfway point, we'll put in our knees. And we'll use ovals for our knees, like so. And I'm just making sure that proportionally this is the length that I want the legs before I start getting too into it here. But seems good enough. So, next what we will do is we'll just go ahead and get the thighs out of the way. So we're going to keep these relatively thick, not anything too crazy yet, but just kind of following how we have done some of our other thick thighs. It's going to come in, then out, and down and around the knee, like that. So in, out, back in, around the knee, like so. And then we'll just sketch out this unmovable part here. And we're gonna put in our thighs, which will be at the thickest near the top. And we're trying to keep these really soft and curvy, like so. Next, because she is a little bit thicker, we're actually going to see a little bit of the bump from the inside portion of her calf before it straightens back out to the shin. And then we'll put in our rear calf muscle here, kind of sticking out, like so. Next, we can drop in our arms, the elbow just below the ribs, and the hand coming up to be pretty much even with the shoulders. And I'm just putting in little hand placements here. It's not a hand tutorial. We're just trying to worry about the overall figure, weight, and balance of our character. And I will follow the shoulder into the collarbone area. Do the same thing over here. And I'm keeping the back side of the arm right here. So it actually is, that is the part that attaches to the elbow joint. Like so. Then we can attach the belly. I'm just gonna quick throw in some glutes here too, because we'd see the very bottoms of the glutes from here. Next, I'm gonna add my stomach line, like so. Just a little line like that. Then inside the ribs here, I'm gonna mark out my entire tummy area here, like so. Then following the ribs, gonna come in, and on this character we're trying to make that sort of exaggerated anime girl figure, so we're gonna keep the core really tight, but then with wide hips. So core is tight, and then I'm gonna use this shape for the love handle. So you can use whatever shape you want, doesn't really matter. If you want it to be a really tight core, then you could use concave shapes like this. I'm kind of using a mixture of them, so it still gives a little bit of thickness there. And then from there, we can draw our chest. We'll give this character a large chest, so it fits the sort of tropey anime figure. This in here. And we're just trying to make them like little water drops that kind of connect to the armpit on the outside. And because these are natural and just hanging, they're not going to be like pushed up against each other really. But they're just little hanging water drops, like so. And we'll fix this center line when it's actually time to do the line art, but be somewhere in there. Like that. Next, I'm just zooming out again because I want to make sure that before I start drawing in the neck that the head's where I want it. I'm just going to bring the head down so slightly so her neck isn't quite so long. Then I'm going to use slightly concave lines for the neck with small traps, like so. And yeah, there we go. So that will be the construction portion. Just so it's a little bit easier to see, I'm just going to make sure it fills out my page a little bit better. Then we can get on to line art. Again, I'm just doing a figure study, so I'm not trying to have pristine line art on it. I'm just trying to get the weight balance right, as well as just getting practice on how to draw these types of characters. So if you're actually trying to follow us along to do like a fan art or something, you'll want to actually pay attention to your line weight and how your lines connect and such. But me, this is just practice. So I'm gonna put that in like so. So they're relatively symmetrical. They don't have to be absolutely 100% perfectly symmetrical, because pretty much every woman in existence isn't 100 perfectly symmetrical. So it can add a little bit of realism to your character, but we still want them within reason. Put that in like this. Put in our shoulders. And again, I'm just adding tiny little shoulder bumps, so that way you can still see there's shoulder muscle there, but it's nothing too crazily defined. She's not like a muscular character or anything, so we don't want it to be too crazy. Oops. We'll put that in. Put in my rib line there. Next, I'll put in the hips. I'm keeping them slightly pointed, slightly smooth, so it's not just pointed, but it's not just smooth either. Just kind of in between. Connect the love handles here. Still gonna add a little bit of roll there, just since she is a little bit thick. Put this in for our tummy, like so. Draw in a line here on the lower part of our hips. Pop in our thighs. I'm going to keep them at their thickest near the top and really bring them back in for the knees. Next, let's need this a little bit. There we go. Next, we'll add a little bump around the calf muscle here. And again, this outer calf, I'm kind of using a shape like that. So it's not just a bump out from the thigh, it's actually like a little swoop. Add in our feet. And then just repeat over here. That ankle's a little bit too small, so there we go. Add in the lower part of the glutes here. And we'll finish off with the neck. And there we go. So that is our sort of tropey, thick anime character. And in part 2, we will look at this same character, but from the back. So that is all for now, and I will see you in the next one.